Hello again, this is Dr. Ray Nannis with Optimum Wellness Solutions, and today I'd like to talk with you about the idea of stress. On the last episode, we talked about how stress can lead to dis-ease and eventually disease and eventually symptoms. But we want to dive deeper into this idea of stress. I mentioned last time that there were actually 3 types of stress: physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. Truly, I'm going to add in a 4th one now. It's called electromagnetics, but we'll talk about that later. With all stress, there are 2 types of each type of stress. There's what we call eustress. Eustress is something that's good for you. Distress is something that's bad for you. Now, your body is going to determine whether that's good or bad in most circumstances. There are some things that are simply bad for all of us, and there are some things that are simply good for all of us, but sometimes there's some wiggle room in the middle. And what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at physical stress alone. With physical stress, what are the things that we could do that would possibly be good for you? The first one that comes to my mind is maybe going to a gym and exercising, some form of exercise. The exercise that might be good for you might be traumatic for me. Maybe you're a runner. Maybe you can go run a marathon. If I walked out the door today and tried to run much more than a few hundred yards, that would actually cause stress to my body because I've not been a runner recently. I've done it before, don't personally like it, that's my thing. I can work up to that, but if you could run, let's say, a mile or several miles, and I tried to do that, that would actually damage my body. On the flip side of it, if I went to the gym today and went to do some bench pressing or something like that, I can very easily lift, let's say, 150 to 170 pounds on a bench press. That exact same weight on a 78-year-old grandmother that's not been to the gym in years would actually really hurt her. What would be good for me might be bad for her. So it depends on where we are in this cycle. So there are stresses that are good for you, with the physical stresses, the chemical stresses, and the emotional stresses. So like we said, exercise is an amazingly good physical stress. However, automobile accidents, slipping and falling, and today the biggest physical stress is sitting, are damaging for our bodies. Let's take a look at chemical stress briefly. With chemical stress, we have the things we eat, drink, and breathe. If we eat healthy foods, those are going to be a benefit for us. But one healthy food for one person, if somebody has an allergy to that food, it would be very unhealthy for them. It could also possibly even cause them to die, depending on how severe that allergy is. So the things that we eat, the things that we put into our body make a difference. And then the emotional stress. What are good emotional stresses? Things like having a wonderful conversation with somebody that's enlightening. Learning something is really great. Doing things like meditation, exercise, prayer. There's a million things that we could do that help us deal with emotional stresses. But then we have things that we worry about and that we stress out about emotionally. So there's good and bad stresses, and this literally, it becomes a scale. And we have good stresses pulling us one way and bad stresses pulling us another way. Where do we fit on that scale determines which direction our overall health and wellness is moving. One of the best things that we can do is to remove some of those physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, and that's exactly what we do at Optimum Wellness Solutions. This again is Dr. Ray Nannis with Optimum Wellness Solutions, and I look forward to walking down the path of health and wellness with you.